I silenced, but it obviously doesn't mind. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I got it. I gotta start taking trust.
I do not believe that Kenny had been granted. But I was going to.
That's the one I'm driving.
My brother, well, I read the book. All the squash I had.
She is. Yeah, that's what yes. I sit on orientation last night. I have 3 on
Gosh.
Yeah. That's wrong.
I would imagine.
How are you doing, Johnny?
My wife. TV done, you'll see watching some of these gonna show.
So the paying your company, they get yours. Well.
For years. Yeah, probably. Read about the Red Ball Express. The Russians are not familiar with the Red Ball Express. The Red Ball Express, World War II, running all that stuff, the eye, back and forth.
That's what I'm thinking.
Really? Yeah.
When my retired general, so amateurs think red John Gifford. I'll make sure. Outside. Sorry, outside. Get up and land. I'm Jim. It's not long. Okay. That's easy to remember. Okay. Space Lab.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville. It's great to see a huge room full of people today. We've got some fresh faces back. That's really exciting to see. Good group on Zoom as usual. If y'all would stand with us, and we'll start the meeting and song with Bill here. Bill?
We'll do a state song today, West Virginia. Almost 10, West Virginia, Rich Mountain, Shenandoah River. I just over older than the trees, younger than the mountain, growing like a breeze. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, country road. Oh, my memories, Carolina, I just lay straight to the water, dark and dusty, hanging on the sky. Misty face that running down, here coming by, country road, take me home to the land I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, country road. Morning hours she calls me, radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving round and rocking up the feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country road, take me home. Country. All right.
Thank you, Bill. Great song. And one of our newer members, Tammy Robertson, is going to lead us in the pledge today. Tam?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we'll bring this down.
Appreciate that, Chris. You bow with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day. We're thankful for Rotary and our motto, service above self. Hearts are saddened today in the passing of our member Gary Andrew. We remember Joanne and the family. Service will be tomorrow at 2 o'clock at Trinity. Help comfort them. Help them realize that it's a time to be born. It's a time to die. We certainly don't miss Gary. Thank you, Lord, for our missionaries. Thank you for our first responders. Thank you for our medical teams that work on us each day and keep us going. Thank you for Rotary and all it means to us. Thank you for each person here today and their families. Give us a safe week, for we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Go ahead and finish eating. We'll start in just a minute. Thank you.
Break it again or something.
Ice cream. Every time? Oh, I should not, I wish I would not have noticed it. I saw it. I don't care. Any temptations? Some of those, you're like, some, they are. Yeah, some to his golf. Took some to his golf, but you know, it was like, I said, are you crazy? They were just really.
I never did sourdough. I love it.
Sourdough.
I'm not sure that.
You got some money.
I guess you do business development, proposal work and stuff like that. Got dragged into a couple
They're good.
It's. Yeah. I cover the stage. And then I also have my own places where it's like several different activities. It started, that was gonna be a side job. It's very, that's always. Sale. You not get back.
I have to go. Been in sales since she turned 16 and had a job. We're in the store. The good news is,
I'm traveling, I'm going to, in 2 weeks, but I'm leaving on Thursday, coming home on Monday. To go to Ellis for spring break. I leave the 17th, that's the end of the spring break.
You know, break it, just a great thing. Alabama, come down, they fly, but you can't get do. Whatnot, you know, and they fly out there and they're freezing dunes, freezing to death, trying to get some, and they right.
spring break.
All right, we're gonna get this awesome show on the road today. I did want to recognize, we're gonna introduce guests here in a minute, but I do want to recognize 2 folks I haven't seen in a while. Real excited to see them here. First, we have Jack Simons back with us today. Jack, great to see you, sir. And the best bow tie wearer in the country, Bill Lowe, is with us today as well. Bill, great to see you back. All right, we're gonna get back on track as well with our 2 truths and a lie. We have a special one for you all today. Mr. Rudy Chavez, would you like to come on up, sir? All right, Rudy.
Rudy can't tell them.
I'm wearing my Rotary hat for a reason. I asked if I could have just 90 seconds to say what brought me to the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville. And thank you. Thank you for allowing me. Just a few moments. 2013, I was getting ready to retire from the Department of Defense with 2 years of service. And as retirees are getting ready to retire, they have special classes. So we had this financial planner, how to plan for the future as you retire. And in that planner was James Falcon. And so I met him in June of 2013, and we started working on retirement plans. And I kept going back to Jim. And I said, Jim, I spent 46 years with DOD, got credit for 42, and been serving the military for many years. That's all I know, how to serve. I want to continue serving, but really don't. He said, come on over to the Space Center, and you'll see those that want to serve. You'll meet those people that want to serve. So I went to the Space Center on a Saturday, and there was a whole bunch of cars parked out there. There was one tall gentleman with a deep, deep voice. We're going to help 2 families today. And it was absolutely beautiful. Strange folks, didn't know, but gosh, they came from all categories of life, and well-to-do, wanted to serve. So Cliff starts working on, the ramp and all these other things. I want to take one of them, and this other person's going to take the other one. And you guys go and gals go with this one with me, and you guys and gals go with Andrew. And you, Gary, it was absolutely a wonderful experience. What a gentle and absolutely wonderful man. Gary Andrew, I was his third hand, the hammer, the measure, the screwdriver, the stapler, all those other things that are required as he was building. And what a wonderful conversation. And that short moment told about his life growing up as a farmer and on and on and on. And from that experience, I got to meet others. Gillette, who represented me to the St. Vincent de Paul, and others, Columbus, and on and on. And it's been all a wonderful experience. So that's what brought me to the Club of Greater Huntsville. Just a wonderful experience of serving the community. So with that, I had to. And one not true. I mentioned I've been in the DOD for 46 years. 4 of them I didn't get credit because the reserve and civil service. In my reserve duty at Kelly Air Force Base, and information that President Carter was going to land. And so and he was going to greet people. I go see if I can get in President Carter's hand. So over there in Cattle 9. And then the other one is I was invited to the recipient, honor guard recipient at the White House, meet President Trump. I'm going to go there so I can shake his hand. And then the third truth or lie, or not truth, is Bonnie was running barefooted in the White House area lawn. So which ones are true? President Carter, President Trump, and Bonnie barefoot in the White House?
Carter. Carter.
Carter?
Yeah, we know about the others.
Yeah.
We do know about the others.
Yeah, I think you remember that Bonnie was barefooted as we were exiting the White House after the President Trump presented the Medal of Honor to Mike Rose, which is 2 here. And you can barely see Bonnie and myself without these pictures here. We're behind the Chief of Staff of the Army, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, and all the medal recipients on the other side. But as you can see, Bonnie and myself, yeah. So whoever guessed, I didn't get a chance to shake President Trump's hand. We went to the dining facility, and there were a lot of folks there. And I didn't get a chance to shake his hand, but Carter was the first sergeant at Kelly Air Force Base. Got in front of the line, shook his hand, ran around to the end of the line, and shook his hand again.
Thank you.
Good job, Rudy. Rudy's such a special part of our club. We appreciate that. Paul's going to come on up. We started back again this month, thanks to Paul's leadership, getting back to the pods. got away from that during COVID and we had lighter attendance, but we're ready to get back to that. We'll talk more about that and you'll see some emails in the coming week. But we're kicking off today and Paul's taking leadership in that. Paul, thank you.
I want to introduce our guest today. As usual, we have a couple of visiting Rotarians and our visiting Rotarian from Madison is Robert Barnes. Robert?
All right, Robert.
Yeah. And let's see, Alex has got you down here as a visiting Rotarian. Is that correct? No, he's
They made me sign it.
well, that's all right. They make you sign. But Alex is going to be a new member, and as far as who's his guest, it's everybody. All right, what I want to do is get back to introducing guests this way. I will call on the Rotarians who have the guests. We'll ask the guests to stand and remain standing. And then when they're all introduced, we'll all give them a big round of applause. So, Joanne, Perez, you have guests today.
I do. So today, since I was the speaker, I thought it would be great for everyone to get an opportunity to meet my staff. So this is Renee Dobbs, our office manager, and Chris Davis, our paralegal.
All right.
Thank you. And Bill Warner, you have guests, right?
My good friend Becky Warwick is joining us today. Becky recently retired, so she's looking to get active in the community.
Thank you, Becky. And let's see, Tim Green is with us today, and Tim is no longer a guest, but signed in here as a new member. So Tim, let's give all our guests a big round.
Good job.
Thank you, Paul. And again, thanks for being here, all the guests. It's nice to see your team here, Joanne, as well. But you know they're going to correct you if you say something not quite right today, right? I have a feeling they will.
Oh, I know they will.
All right, give me a new clicker today. Let's see if I can learn up quick. All right, we're good. All right, there you are, Joanne. Fabulous picture out there. Got you in there. Next week, we've got Parker Griffith coming. Excited about that. He's going to speak about a little bit of the difference between being with Alabama Senate and also House of Representatives for Congress. 5G conversion implementation. Our good buddy Dave Hargrove is going to come talk to us about that. And there's a lot of questions and insights about that people have. And then on March 30th, we've got Dr. Neil. I think I have that in there. Dr. Neil Lamb is his name. I have that messed up. Sorry, guys. Hudson Alpha talking about the current status of COVID vaccines. We got a couple surprises we're going to squeeze in there on I think the 23rd, right, Cliff? Yeah. Okay. Fabulous. We had a great turnout for the Veterans Memorial cleaning this past Saturday. Good group of folks. Bob and I knocked out almost all the benches by ourselves. So Bob, thank you for making a good team. It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, almost.
Almost. Yeah. I didn't say all of them. What's that?
Will was our silent partner.
Yeah, Will was there, Cliff was there, who am I missing? Alex was there for the first time, Mike's there. So Alex, it's good to see you coming out too as well, appreciate that. But we had a good time, and then I believe Reed is on Zoom today. Reed, when's our next one, buddy? Do you have it set up yet?
Go off of screen sharing.
So what's that again?
Go off of screen.
Oh, for him to do, he should be able to talk though.
Yeah.
He was on there. I made fun of him at how shiny his head was in the picture a minute ago, so I know he was paying attention. He does that to me every meeting, by the way. Speaking of membership, remember this year, the theme is everybody bring one, everybody bring a guest this year. That's the goal for everybody to bring one guest and let them see what a great group of folks this is and all the impact we have in our community. Want to call out the new members that we've had this year. If you are a new member and you're in the room, can you please stand? We have Pam Smith, Roy Long returned, Tom McCurry joined us, Mooney joined us as well, Sam Lowry, Melody Breyer is here, Tanya Cook, I'm sorry, Angela Howell, Andy and Kim Dolan. I know that they're on Zoom today. Tim Green is here, Alex is here as well. Jim Watson, Jim is here, and Roy Long returned as well. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, guys. And you can't see it down there at the bottom, but please remember that the membership options and the membership application are now on our website. So if you have a potential member, you need to point them to the website resources, or you go ahead and pull them, send them to them. That would be great. Mary Edgecombe is our membership director, has done a fabulous job this year, and she's happy to engage anybody. If you just want to send her a name, an email, or phone number, she's happy to engage folks on behalf and see if they could become members. Again, sad week this week, and it was kind of sad. I don't want to call it good timing or bad timing, but the district actually reached out to us earlier this week for a list of members that we've lost over the past year or so. So we were compiling a list for them, and I got the email about 5 minutes later about Gary. So this is the details about the service, which is tomorrow. Trinity Church there in Airport Road. Visitation will be 12 to 2 o'clock with church service at 2. And then he's going to be later immediately after that. Laughlin Funeral Home and the services. If you go to their website, they have all the information on the website and some pretty cool pictures of Gary as well. So I plan on being there tomorrow, and I'm sure a number of you do as well. And just a quick reminder that Gary is also not only a past president of our club, but the last district governor from our club as well. So he's represented us very well over the time. On a positive note, Ann is back at it, guys. And when she's back at it, we know there's some good times coming. We're getting ready for the Kentucky Derby Day. This is our second fundraiser of the year. Our first run fundraiser, Night with Santa, raised over $26,000 for our foundation. Great job with that, Joanne. Thank you. We're looking to maybe beat that record with one and have 2 awesome fundraisers this year. Just be amazing to do good work in the community with those funds. On that note, I'm going to pause for a second as well. All the applications that were submitted for grants from our foundation are currently being reviewed by the foundation board. I believe our new meeting is Friday. I'm not sure if Elizabeth is on Zoom or not. And we'll be making decisions and be handing out quite a bit of money in the next month or so. So we'll give you announcements on all that. You'll see the details of all the hard work and where that goes in the community. May 7th, Kentucky Derby. We're going to application with a fabulous spot at Redstone down at Twickenham with their new building. If you guys didn't make the Night of Sinatra, amazing facility. They got a huge patio, porch area, very nice facility. So it's going to be another great event for sure. Looking for sponsorships. We have the Town sponsorship, the Winter Circle sponsorship, and probably where I'll fall, the mid-julep section.
No, Winter Circle.
You can make it. What was it? The Hobokins was the last?
Kids from Hoboken.
We sold out the Hobokins, by the way. So there's options, and again, I know my slides up, but individual tickets for $125, correct? Okay.
Yes, and this is the assessed event.
This is the assessed event. So every member event on standard membership assessed 1 ticket, whether you're going to make it or not. We were asked on orientation that we did last. Can you donate that ticket to someone who can come? Absolutely. The more people, the better. But we do once a year 1 ticket if you can't make it for a fundraiser to each member. Be that one.
Keep going.
Okay. And there, Joanne stepped up to Triple Crown. They're good folks. So thank you. Winter Circle.
We need some.
I'll aim for the Winter Circle. I'll aim for the Winter Circle.
Okay.
All right. And we got mid-juleps in the house. Good job, Cliff and Grant, Smith, Jennifer, and Nicole. Round of applause for jumping in so quick. So we're off. Great start already. We've got plenty of time to wrap this thing up. Have a feeling we'll fill up all these next month or so and be the same people every week. So
And that's the fun of it.
that's the fun of it. All right. Just a couple announcements. Pods are back. Really excited about that. Please watch your email inboxes. You get an email from me this week. Paul's done a great job of re-putting those pods together. We are looking for someone in those pods to step up and take leadership. And we also have an outline of what the duties are of those pods. But it really makes these meetings a lot more special when you have different people engaged each month. We've got more representation at the sign-in. We've got our greeters. We've got different people doing the pledge and the prayer. It just makes it a lot more enjoyable for everybody, and we get to know people better that way. So we're really excited about getting back to pods, and obviously we've got plenty of people coming in person now that we can do that. So that's the most exciting part. Please, Roger, how are we doing the Heels facility? Are we done with that, or do we still need help? No.
We have more challenges, so.
Okay.
more to come.
If you would like to be part of that project team, check in with Roger and he'll get you plugged in. We're doing some great work there. Remember, Heels is who the folks our district grant went to. We bought computers for, and we found out they have a lot of other needs that we can help them out with. So we've been doing that. And Jim, are you full on your board positions yet, or could you use some great people?
Well, we've got a few more to fill, but I really appreciate all the people who've stepped up and volunteered
you to either continue or join the board next year.
Awesome.
So we're doing.
Get a good group together for next year. Awesome. Good job, Jim. I believe, Will, you have an announcement? Are there any other announcements or anything that we've missed? Okay, Cliff, Will, and then I'll have you go, Cliff, in a second.
I've got sad news and happy news. The sad news is, for all of you who have been to ramp builds, I had a pair of jeans that I always wore at ramp builds. Had a huge tear here. Well, I was afraid I was gonna have, get sunburn on my left knee of the next ramp build. So, that pair of jeans has gone to that great warehouse, jeans warehouse in the sky. And that's the sad news, because you won't see those signature jeans anymore at a ramp build. The happy news is that as we are speaking, the delivery stork is bringing me a new pair of jeans. And since it's a new pair of jeans, I will wear it exclusively only for Rotary Club meetings and church. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna change another life, 12 March. Okay, I know, Mike Bronson was over there just smiling and going, oh yeah, okay, I'll sign up. Yep, and that's what these papers are for, okay? Need your help. Blankenships need a ramp in front of their house. It's a small one. It's only gonna be about, about 28 feet, 29 feet, all total. It is something that is necessary for them so they can get out of their house. So really need your help. If you'll sign up, you all know Wednesday the 9th, that's next Wednesday night, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and maybe earlier, we meet at the warehouse. We build all of our ramps. We cut all the wood that we need. So we can just assemble it on Saturday. Comes on Friday. Mr. Thornton Stanley's on the Zoom right now. He knows that I always send him a little love note to say, can we borrow your trucks again? Oh, by the way, really appreciate the 2 or 3 people that you send your workers over there to help us load and unload. So that happens. And then Saturday morning, the 12th of March, we will descend on it. It's in Southeast Huntsville. This is where the ramp build is. And I would like as many people that could come out and help, please do. Just remember, we will change a life. And when you walk away from that and you see that person actually come out of the house and is able to roll down the ramp and actually get in their vehicle, knowing that they'll get in their vehicle, that frees up them. It's a burden that they no longer have to face trying to get out of their house. And you here collectively with me and Pete, we're gonna make this thing happen. You can now put it in your phone, Mike Roger. There you go. Okay, put the dates in your phone so you got it. Please sign up. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Cliff, what number is this one for us?
I think it's 9.
9, okay. We got to get to 12. Can we do that? Okay.
No problem.
We did 11 last year, 12, and then Jim, we're going to ratchet up one more for your year, okay? All right, we're getting ready to introduce our speaker here. Joanne did a fabulous job for us before, and I had everybody coming up to me saying, well, you better make sure you have her back to do the second part of her speech. Even had some people reach out to me this week that weren't going to be here and saying, can we get a copy of the video? Just so you all know, we do record these meetings, and we now have been able to, with Justin Gibbons' help, our PR director, we've synced Zoom and our YouTube channel. So if you go to the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville on YouTube, all of our meeting recordings are there. And they'll be there automatically, I believe, within a day afterwards. So if you ever miss a meeting or you'd like someone to see something that happened in a meeting, you can go to our YouTube channel and see that. With that, I'm going to ask Melody to come up and introduce our guest speaker.
So on some level, you all know Joanne doesn't need an introduction, but I did want to tell you a little story about how I came to know Joanne. 16 years ago, when I became a financial advisor, I became aware that many of my clients who were really financially responsible people still hadn't done their estate plan. It's a tough thing to get around to doing. And so I went looking for an estate attorney that I could recommend people to. So to do that, I called the probate judge up and took him out to lunch. And so here's how the conversation went with the probate judge. So the first thing I said to him was, look, you and me both know that there are people's work that when that attorney's work lands on your desk, you cringe because it's a mess. And he's literally squirmed in his chair. And I said, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you for those folks. And you could see the man's sigh of relief. I said, but then there are people that when their work lands on your desk, just between you and me, you barely look at it because you know it's right. It's right every time. It's always right. I said, that's the list of people that I want to know their names. And he gave me 3 names, and Joanne Perez was on that list. And I called all 3 of those people and, you know, asked to have a conversation with them. And based on who was the most responsive and had the best communication skills, I referred people to Joanne for 15 years. And so across that time, she has also become a dear and trusted friend. So I just, you know, I can't endorse her enough. And I just thought y'all might enjoy knowing that little background story on Joanne. All right, well, we're back and we'll answer questions. And I promised everybody we'd get into trust because everyone wanted to ask trust questions last time. So if you got a question, raise your hand and we'll kind of get into it. And I'll stay after if you need me to. I have my staff take a separate car so they can go back to work. All right, let me figure out how to operate this and we'll get started here. Let's see. All right. So the first question that people always, like when people come to my office, they're like, well, what's the difference between a will and a trust? I have a will. Do I need a trust? Could you explain what the difference is? And I think we went through this a little bit last time. So I'm going to kind of go through this part quicker so we have more time for questions. A will requires probate. Lots of people don't realize this. So when you go to see an attorney and they give you a price for a will and a price for a trust, yeah, you pay a little bit for the will up front, but then you have to pay to probate the will later, okay? Also, a will must be filed with the court, okay? That means the will has to be, well, I mean, of course, every document has to be properly executed, but people can challenge a will. If it's not properly notarized, if there aren't 2 unrelated witnesses, there's lots of different ways. If you didn't do it, what they call a self-proving will, where you have 2 unrelated witness signatures and a notary, there is the possibility that you might have to have witnesses come in. And you guys, I have probated wills for people who are like 90 and the witnesses are dead. And so the will cannot be admitted to probate because they didn't have a self-proving will. So there's a little bit more concern about making sure everything's exactly correct with the will. Also, you have to wait 6 months. We talked about that a little bit last time for the creditor's claims period to expire before you can start making distributions from the estate. And there could be hearings if you don't have a will and if everybody doesn't agree, and it could end up costing extra money. But the point I wanted to make here is wills are public documents. Trusts are not. So next. Okay. Trusts are easier to administer after death. I have and I'm sure my staff hears me say this all the time. It's the last gift you can give your children. They're already sad because they've lost their parent. Chances are, when this comes to fruition, they've lost their last parent. You know where your stuff is. You know everything you own. You know all your passwords. Instead of making them jump up and down and figure things out and kind of think whether you use the dog's name or their birthday or what your passwords might be, you can have all of this handled already, and you can utilize a trust and have those assets already in the trust's name. The kids can sell the house immediately. Houses don't age well when people don't live in them. You need to flush the toilets. You need to make sure people don't break in. Those of you in the room who have experience with insurance,
or have ever administered an estate will know that insurance companies cancel the homeowner's insurance on a vacant piece of property in case there is vandalism or some issues. The other issue is cars, same issue you have with cars and car insurance. When you have a trust, all you need is the death certificate and the trust, and the trustee can do everything. They can sell the house, they can sell a car, they don't have to notify creditors, they don't have to go to court. They don't have to do any of these things. It's already easily handled by the person who knows best, you. So I always like to start out with this. If you have a choice at the end, trust is always the better choice at the end. It's quicker, it's easier, it's private, it's not a public record, so people don't know when you disinherited a kid, or that you didn't trust this kid and these two got their money outright and this kid got theirs in trust because they're a spendthrift, because you don't know that. So it's a privacy issue too. All right, let me move on. Okay. The other issue that and this is kind of where I wanted to spend a little bit of time, is people are always asking me, can I protect my assets in a trust? Okay. So I want to talk about two different types of assets. I'm going to stand over here. Okay. So the first type of a trust is called a revocable trust, or a living trust, or a loving trust, or a management trust, but it is or the IRS calls it a grantor trust. It's a self-created trust. You make the trust with your stuff for you, for your benefit. Okay, it's your trust with your stuff. There's no asset protection in that. If you go and get into a car accident and kill somebody and they're going to sue you, that's your stuff. You have access to your stuff. You're not protecting your stuff, okay? But when you die, that trust becomes irrevocable. It's like in stone. It can no longer be changed. It's stopped and it's in stone. When you die, and it's an irrevocable trust that you created to the beneficiaries, your kids or your grandkids, or whoever else you chose to make the beneficiary of your trust, to them, it's a third party created trust. And to them, all the assets in this trust are protected from their creditors. Okay, so that's why I've got a bad marriage of a beneficiary on this list of issues. So if you're in a, I had kids, my kids are everywhere, but I had kids in California at one point in time. Well, California is a community property state. You walk into California, half and half automatically, okay? So even if you're in a community property state, if you've got a third party created trust, you've protected the assets you want to leave for your children from a spouse during a divorce proceeding, as long as they're in the trust, okay? The other issue I want to talk about are minors. So my staff knows this. I just had a couple in here this morning in the office that they were discussing establishing a conservatorship for some minors. And the reason is the minor's parent, their last parent, died in another state, and they adopted these minor children. But there's money from that deceased parent's estate coming to them. Well, they can't just give the money to minors, okay? The banks won't give the money. The financial companies will not give the money to minors. You have to open up a conservatorship and or guardianship to get the money. With a trust, you can hold that money in trust without all of the need to go back to court, to post a bond, to get another attorney to look over everything, to do annual account, like just tons and tons of extra legwork and also extra cost associated with leaving money to minors if you don't utilize a trust. So I feel like there's some really good things that you can do with a trust, that's really the only way you can do it. And I just want to talk about the Secure Act. I try to talk about it all the time, anywhere I go, because for whatever reason, it's called the Secure Act in 2019, but it didn't go into effect till January 2020. So, remember we had that pandemic thing happen in 2020, so a lot of people just weren't clued into this. When you have your retirement income, your IRA, 401k, TSP, even Roth IRA, okay, for you, and you leave your spouse as the beneficiary, your spouse can roll it over and treat it as their own, and they don't have to start taking minimum required distributions out of that money until they're 72. But when you leave a non-spouse beneficiary as a beneficiary of those special funds, that non-spouse now has only 10 years in most cases. There's a few little exceptions, and we can talk about those specifically, but most cases, they have to take that money out in 10 years. That may change the way you choose to get your required distributions. You may choose to take more in required distributions for tax purposes, and I counsel all of you to talk to your financial planner about that to see what's best for you and for your family. I've had some instances now where I've got people who are at a lower tax bracket owning their IRA money that are going to give it to their children upon death at a higher tax bracket. So they're starting to take more now and pay the taxes, or starting to do Roth conversions of regular IRA money to Roth. And I don't want to get into the techie details of that part, but what I want you to hear is it's a good idea to talk to somebody or to consider, because the Secure Act has changed things, and the trust is a way of handling that. You can just leave the trust as the beneficiary if you've got the trust drafted correctly, and the trust can handle making sure that your assets are protected for that 10-year period in accordance with the Secure Act, okay? Any questions? That was a lot. Yes, sir.
You talked about the Secure Act and all of those pieces. What actually changed with the Secure Act?
Oh, great question, great question. So before, if you had a non-spouse designated beneficiary, like your child, they were able to stretch the IRA distributions over their whole lifetime. So a lot of people were trying to get lots and lots of money because their kids wouldn't have to take it out for a long, long time in the future. They could stretch those benefits. And now people just aren't clued in. They only got 10 years after your death to take the benefits if you're leaving it to your children or younger people.
Is that new?
It's new. It's not really new, Marcia. That's a good question. The Secure Act is called the Secure Act of 2019. It was signed by President Trump on December 20th, 2019. It was effective January 1st, 2020. So no, it's not really new. It's 2 years old, but people really just didn't hear about it. And I think it would have gotten more publicity, and it would be, you know, I think people who deal with financial planners have heard about it, but just general people, I just don't. Yes, ma'am.
So if you inherited before that, are you grandfathered in?
Yes. If you inherited before January 1st, 2020, and you have an inherited IRA, you are allowed to stretch it. The big publicity, if you've heard anything about the Secure Act, is that you don't have to begin taking minimum required distributions till age 72. It used to be 70 and a half, which also means if you're 70 and a half and you're already taking them, you have to continue taking them. And also, if you continue to work, you can continue to contribute to your qualified funds later on in life. Yes?
But if you put that IRA in a trust, it stretches?
Okay. If you name the trust as the beneficiary, you own the IRA, you have to always remain the owner of your own IRA. If you put it in a trust, you can make the trust do what the best interest of the beneficiary is and stretch it for the 10 years under what you can do under the Secure Act. So yes, you can draft a trust that will stretch the benefits. When you have a benefit, and if you want to jump in here, Philip, please feel free. When you have a beneficiary designation on an IRA, okay, they can choose to take all of it now, they can take a part of it now, or they can stretch it out to the maximum, for the 10 years, okay? They can do whatever they want. Most beneficiaries take it all. Take it all now as quick as they can, am I right? Because
Unless they're coached beforehand.
Exactly. So this is a way of making sure your kids or whoever, your sibling, whoever your beneficiaries are going to be, this is a way of making sure they do what's in their own best interest, because they may not know, because they may not have been coached. All right, any more questions before I move on? Okay, I'm sorry, I know I'm talking fast, I'm trying to get through a lot, but you can tell there's a lot to get through. Some of this stuff I've touched on a little bit. So we talked about minors and conservatorships and guardianships. Let's talk about old people, like really old people. Sometimes we get elderly and we get a little dotty and everybody gets a little bit of dementia after a certain age. And instead of having to be declared mentally incompetent, if you have a trust as your tool and it's your trust, remember we talked about this, you're the beneficiary, you're the settler who made the trust and you're the trustee. Maybe you want your kid to be the trustee and pay your bills now. And you can do that. You do it with one quick piece of paper. I resign. I'm gonna let my son handle it. He's good at this. He knows how to make my payments. He manages my bills. And he doesn't have to go to court. He doesn't have to do an inventory. He doesn't have to do an annual accounting. And when I resign, maybe that caregiver who keeps telling me she needs a new car to get me to my doctor's appointments, I can say, oh, I can't get you a car. My son's in charge of all the money. So there's a little bit of an asset protection because let me tell you, I've seen some really horrific things that happen to very elderly people. And that's a way of saving your estate for your children or whoever you want to leave it to. And I also talked about this already, about saving the costs associated with the conservatorships. Sorry, I should pay attention to my slides better, I apologize. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I wanted to make sure I hit those high points with you. I'm happy to take questions. I'm happy to talk about trust. If you got, yes?
What's the difference between, the big difference, the salary difference between Alabama law and Florida law?
Great.
Half my assets in Florida.
Great question. Great question. Okay, so Florida, let's talk about a trust as related, because that's our topic, right? As related to Florida. Okay, so in the state of Florida, even if you have a will, you cannot appoint a non-Florida resident to be the executor or executrix. You can say that, but the court will not appoint them to manage your estate. You need a Florida state resident to manage a will. That's just a fact. Okay, in Alabama, as long as you have a will, you can appoint anybody to be the personal representative of the estate, okay, in your will. That's our Alabama terminology I'm using. And they don't have to be an Alabama resident. In Florida, attorneys are allowed to take a percentage of your assets as their fee. We don't allow that in Alabama. The attorneys charge for the work that they perform. They're not allowed to take a percent of your assets. So if you have property in Florida and Alabama, and you have no trust, and let's pretend you're an Alabama resident. You got a beach house in Florida and your house here in Huntsville. You probate your estate here in Huntsville, that's one probate. Then you do an ancillary probate down in Florida, that's two probates. So you got paid double. And these guys charge more money because they get to get a percentage. Alabama has adopted the Uniform Trust Code in 2006. So I believe there's 28 states now, I could be wrong, maybe a few more than that have all adopted that code. And I know we get a bad rap for stuff, but we've got really good trust law and we follow the Uniform Code. So I'm trying to answer your question. So an Alabama trust is good in Florida. It's cheaper because you're gonna save two probate administrations. You don't have to have a Florida resident handle the Florida property if you have a trust. So did that answer your question? All right, any other? Yeah, maybe too much, sorry. Yes, Melody.
Speak a little bit about special needs trusts.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up.
We encounter so many cases.
I know, I was
Not just with minors, but with
Yes.
people who are dependent in
Mhm.
any number of ways.
I was a little nervous about putting that into the presentation because I wasn't sure about timing and sometimes that takes a little extra. So we live in Huntsville. We have one of the highest incidents of autism in the country here, okay, in Alabama. So we have lots of children who maybe we don't know if they're gonna, are they gonna be able to manage money and live on their own, or maybe they're gonna need somebody to manage their funds for them. Or we have people, for a variety of different needs that are receiving government benefits, okay? It could be and I've done special needs trusts for lots of different reasons. One reason I've done them is I helped my mom in the nursing home. Let me tell you something, there's a big black hole in the nursing home that sucks up all pajamas and socks. I don't know how it happens, but it does. And so Medicaid, if you're in the nursing home on Medicaid says you can spend $30 a month on personal needs. That includes your hair care, it includes all sorts of things, and it's not nearly enough that someone needs to. I mean, if you have to be shaved or your haircut or bathed, sometimes the nursing homes charge extra for that. So my point is, many of my clients are subsidizing their parents who are on Medicaid. So if they were to die, we need to leave some money for their parents. But if I left their parent $5,000 or $10,000, it would kick them off Medicaid. And we don't want to do that because it took forever to get them on Medicaid to start with. And then the fact is that they need to be where they are and they need that government benefit. So sometimes when you're receiving government benefits, you need a special type of trust called the Special Needs Trust that will allow you to continue receiving those benefits. For instance, in case you're receiving Social Security, disability insurance, because you can't really hold down a job because of your specific disability, but it's the needs-based kind. If you have over $2,000 in assets, that'll kick you off the program. So, and it may make you ineligible for other things that you would otherwise be eligible for. So sometimes a grandparent has all the best intention in the world. They want to leave their grandchild money because they know that grandchild's going to need extra services, but they leave them $100,000. And that $100,000 kicks them out of, $500,000 or plus in benefits that they're otherwise entitled to, and they don't realize it. So what I like to do is do these special needs trusts, standalone trusts, and then that way grandma can contribute to it, aunts and uncles can contribute to it, and the whole family can use that tool to provide for a disabled relative. Is that, any other questions about, yes, sir?
If you put your home and other significant valued assets into the trust, is that then shielded for if you go to Medicare to apply?
Okay, now, I know that all made sense, and I'm not gonna pick apart all parts of that. Okay, I'm just gonna say, you're talking about being in a nursing home on Medicaid. No, it does not. That's the simple, quick answer. Medicaid's for poor people. I doubt anybody in this room will ever be in a position that they're gonna wanna qualify for Medicaid in a nursing home. You have to have less than $2,000 in assets and less than $2,400 a month in income. Yes, Chris?
Could you do the irrevocable trust with someone else's trustee and put your assets there so you...
That is Medicaid fraud. You could do it. I do not suggest it. And that's why I'm standing here. Yeah, yeah. Way outside the box. All right, any other questions? Yes, yes, Roger.
So what if you wanted your child or children to manage a trust for their children? So you want to give benefit to the grandchild?
Absolutely, do that all the time. Yep, great idea. Yeah, most of the trusts for grandchildren have the parent of the child, as the trustee. Because that just makes sense. Yes, Melissa?
Cheryl has a.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cheryl.
It's on my screen.
Oh.
You have a question on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on, let me look. Do you advise, thank you. So Cheryl, thank you for mentioning that. Yes. So Cheryl's bringing up, when Melody asked the question about special needs, there's a new tool, a relatively new tool. It's a few years old. Cheryl, I don't know if you remember, you can type this on the screen if you remember when the ABLE accounts came into play. It's just been a few years now. And so the concept of the ABLE account is we want to inspire people who maybe have some developmental disabilities to get a job and to have a little bit of income. And we don't want that income to kick them off of their government assistance. So there are some rules, and I think, I want to say it's 100,000, don't hold me to it, it might be 200. Does anybody in the room know what the ABLE account limit is? I'll find out and I'll let you know. But there's a maximum amount that that can be in this ABLE account. It's a specialized account for the care of that, for that person. And then when they die, then it goes back and pays back any benefits that they received. So it's a great tool for people who can work a little bit so that they can accumulate a little bit more resources than just the $2,000. So thanks, Cheryl, for bringing that up. And that's kind of highly specialized if you've got somebody with a disability that you want to talk about. But anyway, Chris is, he's gonna hook me out. All right, thank you.
Now you see why everybody asked for her to come back. Great job, Joanne. Thank you very much. And you're the best fundraiser in the world. So we're getting double whammy out of you being on the club. Did I miss any announcements or anything else we need to discuss? All right, with that, let's go ahead and stand and end with the four-way test. Right, all the things that we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair, law, concern?
third,
Friendships.
and fourth. Awesome. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for your care. Thank you.
Why don't we, talk about it? And then.
That's right. You know, it must be something really.